أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ما شاء الله. سبحان الله.
لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. فإن تولوا فقل حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. صدق الله العظيم.
ما شاء الله. ما شاء الله. So alhamdulillah, mashallah, beautiful tilawat from Hafiz Muhammad Ali. MashaAllah.
Complete Hafiz, yeah?
Complete Hafiz. How old are you, Muhammad
14.
Ali? 14, mashallah.
When did you graduate?
Yeah, I'm going to graduate 27th.
When did you finish your graduation?
About like 4 months ago.
MashaAllah. Age of 13, yeah?
Yeah, 13 or 14?
I was 13 when I finished it.
MashaAllah, mashallah.
You know, I was reading a book, it's called The Productive Muslim.
MashaAllah.
Right, and in that he's given on his own technique of doing hifz. He says in his book that the child doing the hifz should only do sabak for the first 3 years and complete the Quran Pak. Do not go on to the manzil. And then the last 2 years, you should do complete manzil.
Jamil.
It's just his way of doing it.
Even
I'll share that.
in Egypt, it's a sabak based
Yeah.
dawrah. They focus on sabak, get through the full Quran, and then you'll have focus on manzil, mashallah.
Yeah.
So how did you retain all that then?
Well,
Quran is an entire ocean. How do you
it is.
swim right through and then not know how you've done it?
They say in the Arabic language, بِالتَّكْرَارِ يُعَلِّمُ الْحِمَارِ.
Yeah.
That with repetition, even donkeys can learn. Meaning, the objective here is to keep reading. It's that consistency, isn't it? The more you read, the more you are fluent to those words. The Quran is only, I don't want to say limited, but its vocab is only so much.
Yep.
You get me? And once you've read the full Quran cover to cover, you'd be able to deduce whether something's an ayah or not. For example, if I was to say, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ هُودٍ. Now someone who's read the full Quran would straight away, it wouldn't register like,
It doesn't exist.
that doesn't come anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the flow. So yeah, it's repetition is the objective.
Isn't that like takes quite a bit of experience to get to that stage where you can just pick up now? Somebody who's done just sabak based memorization, he's finished it, and when you was to recite this ayah to him, how would he pick up that somewhere in the 13 juz does this ayah exist or not? Or maybe we were taught in a different technique.
I mean, if it's 3 years, you said, Mullah, 3 years.
Yes, 3 years.
3 years, I'm sure. 3 years of pure sabak, it will do something. You'll know it pretty well. 3 years of anything, you should know it pretty well, isn't
You
it?
reckon?
Yeah, I think 3 years, plenty of
I mean,
time.
there are different techniques used around the globe, isn't it? I mean, I remember coming across something like the Turks have a particular technique. They do like the first page of each juz.
Yeah.
They go through the entire Quran like that. So you've done the first page of all 30 juz. Then you do the second page of all 30 juz, and the third page. And by the end, if you, let's say you do a page a day, within 30 days you've completed one juz, technically speaking.
Yeah.
Times that by, let's say in our Quran, the 13 line one.
Are you 13
So
liner?
within, which is about 30 pages anyway.
It's not a 13 liner, this one, yeah.
16.
It's 16 liner.
He's learned 61. How many
You're
pages
13
is it?
liner.
Yeah, mine's 39. as well.
Alhamdulillah. The
Well,
13
you-
liner is somewhat of a rare breed nowadays, isn't it?
Is it?
Everyone's moving towards the 16 liner because every page ends with an ayah.
But the 15 line one
That's
is
15.
also.
There's a 15 as well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one mushaf we have in Victoria Park where entire juz is on one page. It's giant.
Wah, wah, wah,
It's
wah.
giant.
But,
I've seen in Pakistan with the 21 line as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. So,
different things do work.
but does it actually help having different number of lines on a page for the
Yeah.
person doing hifz?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the photographic part of things,
Yeah.
having a 13 line is very easy to picture. It's not too much content, so to speak, for your eyes to
On one
to
page,
capture. Yeah.
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 But alhamdulillah, I've done hifz with the 13 and the 16. And now I had to do the 16 because of the riwayat, which led me to that project which we discussed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
It
you
does-
could share that with the community. What's this project you're
the
working
project is when a person goes on to learn other riwayat,
on?
other methods of reciting the Quran. Yeah, there's no 13-line Quran with those other riwayat on it. They're all in the Arabic script, the Medina print, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's a problem for you and I because we've learned it with the 13 line. When we close our eyes, we can picture where everything is in the 13 line. But when you're learning the riwayat, the mushaf you're given is not that one.
It's a 69.
So you end up getting confused. So I've taken the initiative to compile the first 13 line Indo-Pak print with other riwayat on it. I've completed the first juz, alhamdulillah. In riwayat Qalun and riwayat Shu'bah so far.
So,
Qalun and
okay.
Nafi'. Inshallah.
So that's something that's going to be coming through soon.
Inshallah, it takes time, it takes years, and I've got the mashayikh in Egypt ready to approve it and everything. They're going to look over it, did I do it well, etc. But inshallah, slowly but surely.
Something that's never been done before.
Never been done before, ever.
Allah. Jaliyah,
Inshallah.
inshallah. That's another one of the projects you're working on.
Inshallah.
I'll give you barakah in that. Okay, we always start by doing the tafsir, don't we?
MashaAllah.
Of the ayat we hear. So today, a new panelist we have here is
Mashallah.
Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is one of our Central Mosque
Yes,
students.
eager students, mashallah.
Yeah, graduates from there. And we had Mahmoud on. We've had, who else have we had on recite?
We had Abu Zar Shah Sahab.
Abu Zar Shah Sahab, yeah.
Hafiz
So this
Yasin.
is the current crop of students we have, alhamdulillah,
Mashallah.
who do have the right mindset, moving in the right direction, and we would like all the viewers to make special.
I remember
dua
when
for
Ali,
these.
I used to teach in Victoria Park back in 2017.
Mashallah.
Right, he was only small little then. He was doing his nadra. I taught him nadra, but he doesn't remember. I remember.
Allah.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
He it's recited from Mufti Munawwar once as well, remember?
Mashallah.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
And Mufti Munawwar even like gave him some.
I remember
some money as
taking
well.
Ali quite young. We took him to a competition, and he won the competition, a national one, isn't it? Do you remember that?
National one.
Yeah, we won that one. He was invited to a big dinner, and awards were given and everything.
Was it memorization or?
It was recitation. So it was national. He was going up against Somalis and people from other background and everything, and he won. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Acha, tafsir then. This what we recited today was Ali just recited. Is the last two ayat of Surah Toubah.
Yeah.
So we'll start with you then. Go on. Brief us in what's happening.
During my research, and whilst I was in Egypt, I took ijazat in the qira'at al-shadha, the irregular recitations.
The irregular.
And the irregular recitations are used for tafsir.
Mm.
So within that, I found a recitation of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, that he actually read this ayah, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفَسِكُمْ, in the ism mubalagh, in the ism tafdil. And the tafsir of that given is that anfas means the best amongst you. Allah extracted from the best amongst you, i.e. from the noble and pure lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there's a testimony to their purity, their monotheism, that they are upon the deen hanif. So min anfasikum, from the best amongst you. That's what I came across.
What's the general for the common listener today? What's the general script of this ayah?
The general script is that لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ, that such a messenger has come to you, that عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, from amongst yourselves, which Allah,
Or though the translation is
from
the
amongst
best,
the best of
amongst you. Yep.
and in Allah alludes to that in another ayah, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ, from amongst you, from the best amongst you, عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ. And that's something that really gets you trembling when you read this ayah, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's azizun alayhi ma anitum, he's affected by what we are affected by. He has worry over what we go through. He has concern over us. Azizun alayhi ma anitum, harisun alaykum, he's compassionate, cautious, concerned over the believers. Bil mu'minina ra'ufur rahim, and to the believers He is the most merciful. Which is, wallahi, is min al-ajaib that Allah, He describes Himself as Ra'ufur Rahim, but He also describes Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Ra'ufur Rahim as
There are
well.
many asma from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which He shares with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Kareem, Mubin,
Kareem, Ra'uf, Rahim,
Yeah.
and this being one of them. Okay, if you dwell into the tafsir of this ayah alone, you could be here for hours.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, Azizun alayhi manitum. He experiences the same what you experience. So this is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, a tafsir of this that comes to mind is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made an orphan from a young age.
Subhanallah.
He was born an orphan without a father. And why was he doing that? So the Azizun alayhi ma'anitum.
Subhanallah.
So he experiences what you experience. So if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had not been an orphan, he would never have felt the pain and the trouble that orphans have to go through. And there are several reasons given for why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to experience orphanage.
Wow.
One of them being that Allah Rabbul Alameen didn't want him to become attached to this dunya,
Subhanallah.
kept him away from this dunya. You know, when you have parents, as a child would make demands, and his parents then fulfill those demands. Allah Rabbul Alameen wanted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to never make a demand for this dunya.
Subhanallah.
His demand is only for the akhirah.
He orphaned from the dunya.
Yeah,
Subhanallah. Orphaned from the dunya. This.
yeah, from the dunya.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah. So Azizun alayhi ma'anitum, harisun alaykum bil mu'mineen. Yeah, he's compassionate upon the mu'mineen.
Yeah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam only wants our salvation. That's it. There's actually a hadith I came across where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was speaking to the companions, and he gives an example. He said, "My example, in comparison to yours, is what? Is that there's a person who's lit a candle, a fire, and moths are flying towards the light, right? But they're gonna get burnt if they touch it. So you start to put your hand to stop the moth, so to speak, but the moth's dodging you, ducking and diving." And Rasulullah SAW says, "That's me. I'm trying to save you from the hellfire, but the Quraysh, they turn against me." Isn't it? So that's harisun alaykum. His concern is to save us at the end of the day. He is our sole salvation.
Yeah,
You
and Sayyid Ali alayhi rahmah, if I can pull it out in good time, he describes this in one of his poetry. This scenario, this hadith, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like Habib Umar mentioned, that you will be falling into the depths of Jahannam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "I'll be pulling you out from there."
Yeah, the hadith is from your waist, meaning there's so much effort that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is making for us and will make for us. It's something that has to be truly appreciated.
Yeah, so just pulling it out right now. I think if then I was here, it could have been so much faster. Yeah.
Anyway.
Subhanallah.
आसती रहमत आलम उल्टे कमरे पाक पे दामन बांधे गिरने वालों को चहे दोज़ख से साफ अलग खींच लिया करते. So he says, so he gives a scenario. So when somebody's working on a project or he's on a mission, so he'll roll his sleeves up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, Asati Rahmat Alam. He is the mercy of all the worlds. So he's following his Asateen. Kamare Paak pe Daman Bande. So traditionally, when back in home in villages, when the farmers go out to work,
Right.
so they will lift their kameez,
Yeah.
and they will tie it around their waist.
Yes.
So he's folded his arms, he's tied his waist. Now he's on this mission. And what's his mission? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment. Girne walon ko chahe dozakh se. So from the pit of the fire, those are falling into it. Saaf alag khinch liya karte hain. He has the power to pick them one by one and remove them directly from the fire of hell. That's a depiction given. And you see, this is something that is unique to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His compassion for his ummah. We've got a lot of live audience, by the way, today as well.
MashaAllah.
Probably not going to be on camera, but I'm also addressing them as well. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his compassion for the ummah is like no other prophet has. We had Surah Ma'idah, and at the end of Surah Ma'idah, Isa alayhi salam says to Allah, in tu'adhibhum
فإنهم عبادك.
فإنهم عبادك وإن تغفر لهم فإنك رؤوف رحيم. Ya Rab, if you want, you could punish him, but if you want, you're also merciful, forgive him. So he still has, how would you describe it? In tu'adhibhum فإنهم عبادك. If you want, they're your slaves, you can do what you
You
want.
can do what you want.
But for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he doesn't even describe that what's it called, possibility of it happening, because he's wabil mu'minina ra'ufur rahim, and he's haris, he's compassionate upon the mu'mineen, and that hirs is what, that every single one of them go to paradise.
Subhanallah.
And such so that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that I was given 2 du'as along the lines that how does the hadith go? That I was given every prophet was given a dua
Okay.
that is accepted by Allah.
Subhanallah.
And for him, it's like the pinnacle of all du'as he can ever make, the most important one. So the Sahabi asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what did you ask? And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no, I've not asked. Ya Rasul, that's ajib. Every prophet made a dua. Why did you not make this dua? He said, I didn't make the dua. I've left my dua for the akhirah.
Subhanallah.
So on the day of judgment, when my ummah needs my support,
Subhanallah.
that's when I will use this card I'm going to use, yeah, and at that time I will use it for the shafa of my entire ummah.
Something that needs to be appreciated in this day and age. There's a culture now amongst certain groups where they want to take away this nisbat that we have to Rasulullah. Nisbat is everything at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Look, Allah made nisbat between us and هذا النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم من أنفسكم,
from yourself.
from yourselves. And with nisbat everything changes, isn't it? It's like, for example, I don't know, this mic, it could be any mic, but the fact that it's your mic gives it some value, isn't it?
Now, an example my father gives whenever he speaks of nisbat is, a paper is paper.
A paper is paper.
I could do anything on that paper, but the moment I write Quran upon it,
Subhanallah.
I now kiss that paper, I now put it in a high shelf,
Subhanallah.
and I keep it clean. Why? Because it's now had a nisbah with the words of the Quran.
Subhanallah.
And he describes that anything that has a nisbah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes unique.
Subhanallah.
The month that he was born in, that becomes the best of months.
Subhanallah.
The month in which he receives the Quran becomes the best of all months. And the book he receives
It's the best of all
becomes the best of all books.
Subhanallah.
The cities that he walks in becomes the best of cities.
Subhanallah.
The name that he has becomes the best name. The family that he has becomes the best of all families.
The
Anything
land,
that's attached
the
to
land
it
he's resting in becomes a garden of Jannah.
becomes a garden of Jannah, isn't it? It's a nisbah that you're saying.
It's as if that, out of respect for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah didn't make his Nabi go to Jannah. He brought Jannah to him, to his doorstep. To his doorstep.
ما بين بيتي ومنبري روضة
من رياض
من
الجنة.
رياض الجنة. This is the power of the
Look at
Prophet.
the nisbat, like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anh has the most nisbat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst the male companions.
Allah.
He's buried alongside him.
Hmm.
Then second to that Sayyidina Umar. But the one person who had the most nisbat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Sayyidatuna Aisha, who slept in the same bed as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the nisbat that she had makes her house part of that Jannah. Allah brought Jannah to her house.
To her house.
To
Her
her
house
house.
was Jannah, wasn't it?
Subhanallah.
And between her house to the mimbar, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam walks between the mimbar and his house 5 times a day. And just because of him walking between there 5 times a day, the bare minimum at least, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls that a portion of paradise.
Even it comes to mind, you know how we say Jannah is beneath the feet of the mother.
Yeah.
When it comes to our mother Sayyidatuna Aisha, literally Jannah is beneath her feet in her house.
Allah.
Yeah.
She would walk from there to the mimbar and back. Jannah is beneath her feet, and the mimbar is upon the hawd, on the pond.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu
Subhanallah.
Akbar.
Nisbat
It's
is
a
everything.
beautiful discussion in itself. I mean, the love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu
wasallam.
alaihi
And this one ayah, I mentioned today after Tarawih as well. The ulama describe, what Muhammad Ali recited, last 2 ayat of Surah Toubah.
Tawbah.
Ulama describe, and through their mushahadat and their mukashafat, you could call it as well, they describe that a person who makes it his wird, that after every salah he recites these 2 ayat. Ulama have described that at the time of death you will see the sight of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You will see Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam with you. when Malakul Maut is taking your soul. So on one way, put it this way, Malakul Maut is en route to you to take your soul, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will also make his way at the same time.
Harisun alaykum.
He's Haris, isn't it?
He's there for you.
Because the tafsir is, look, he's compassionate towards you, and he has this greed. Well, that's one of the hirs is greed, isn't it? He's greedy. His greed is for his ummah to succeed. And the one point where the ummah needs the support of Rasool alayhi salatu wasalam the most is the time of death. In dunya, of course, we need his support. In barzakh, we need the support in the akhirah. But everything that we're doing in life now is a build up towards that moment of death. If that one moment of death goes positively, goes according to plan, which is, by plan it means with iman, and when Malakul Maut extracts your soul, you have iman, you've succeeded. Yeah, it's like the hadith says that if kuffar knew the punishment that awaits in Jahannam, even if they were to be put in paradise for 1,000,000 years, and then be told that after that 1,000,000 years you will be burnt in the fire of hell, those 1,000,000 years they would spend that in depression, because they know that after that what awaits them, the fire of hell. And then he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now if the mu'mineen knew that they were to be burnt for 1,000,000 years, but after that ultimately their ultimate abode is paradise, they would even enjoy that punishment in Jahannam, knowing that straight after that they're going to paradise.
There's an ayah in Surah Toubah that comes to mind. I thought we'd touch on it. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُم وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ.
Allahu Akbar. Wow.
Allah won't punish them if you're amongst them.
وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ.
Addressing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what Nisbat's about. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a poem we used to sing in Egypt, أَنْتَ فِينَا لَا نُعَذَّبْ يَا حَبِيبِ وَأَنْتَ فِينَا. You're with us, you're with us inside, and will never be punished as long as you're with us. لا نعذب يا حبيبي وأنت فينا.
Yeah, and the same thing applies for on the Day of Judgment. Why and how would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish us when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there? Now, so many stories we have regarding the shafa'ah, the intercession of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the hadith Hafiz just mentioned as well, that even if you were to be punished, you're not going to remain there forever. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that لا أرضى وواحد من أمتي في النار. I'll never become satisfied until the last person is not sent to paradise in front of me.
And there's yaqeen in that. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
Allah will give you what makes you happy.
What makes you happy? Allahu Akbar. I mean, today, the discussion is turning into like love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Is there any other discussion to be had? There's nothing better than
We could
that.
discuss it for this entire month on a daily basis.
I think it's Habib Umar, Hafidhullah, he said, actions without love are just like thin air. It's love that gives mass to your actions, isn't it, at the end of the day? So loving the Prophet ﷺ. I mean, look, Uhud, Jabal Uhud is a mountain of Jannah. And look, Rasulullah ﷺ says, Jabal yuhibbuna wa nuhibbu. He loves us and we love it. And it became a mountain of Jannah. So if we love him, what treasures are waiting for us? This is Nisbat. That's Nisbat.
And we talked about وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. We'll give you so much, O Habib, until you become satisfied, you become content. And the Prophet ﷺ saying, I'm not going to be content. Yeah? That's this hadith that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, even after having this revelation, and I believe it's from Sahih Muslim as well, the Prophet ﷺ sat in his house, and after even receiving this ayah, he has tears in his eyes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs Jibreel, go ask my Habib what makes him sad now. And he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Ya Rasulullah, your Lord asks what causes you pain now that you have tears in your eyes. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. And Allah will give, but there's a demand. But what is the demand? That Ya Rab, I won't be satisfied not until the final ummati of mine doesn't enter paradise. Jibreel goes back to his Lord, and he describes that, Ya Rab, this is what your Habib is saying. He wants to shafa of this entire ummah. And Allah Rabbul Alameen tells Jibreel, go back down and tell my Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh Habib, don't fear. Have no khawf. Because on the day of judgment, we will make sure that you become radi with us. That you are now satisfied and content. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after having that revelation, then he smiled. Knowing that this is what my Lord has now promised.
He's Al-Qasim. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
That's a different discussion going on.
He's Al-Hashir.
That's a debate in itself.
يحشر الناس على قدمه.
Yeah, يحشر الناس على
Hadith from Mr. Aisha that she asked, Ya Rasulullah, make dua for me. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ya Allah, forgive Aisha's previous, coming, major, minor, all sins. And Hadith says that Aisha, she started laughing. She started laughing so much that she started falling. She you know when someone's laughing, they start, having a bit of like wajid in them.
Yeah.
Hadith say that she had so much wajid, she went and fell in the lap of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, oh Aisha, what's wrong with you? She said, Ya Rasulullah, you just made a dua like that. What a dua? And he said, Wallah, oh Aisha, I make this dua for my ummah after every single namaz.
بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم.
So this is the Prophet ﷺ. But over here, I don't be a person of bad news. Okay. Now, can we be too much on this side that the Prophet ﷺ is going to intercede for us? This is where we have this debate in when it comes to Rabiul Awwal, where you'll see the khutbah, they'll be mentioning the Prophet ﷺ intercession, the Prophet ﷺ intercession everywhere they go. And this is where we have this debate with some of our scholars. Okay, yes, you're mentioning intercession, but can a person have complete hope of intercession and stop reading his namaz? He stops paying his zakat. He doesn't go on Hajj. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ intercede for me. I know that there's Allah's rahmah there. Can someone do that?
I believe that's alluded to in a hadith, where it's quite often recited, this hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ says, Al-Kayyisu man dana nafsahu wa amila lima ba'da al-maut wal-ajizu man atba'a nafsahu hawaha wa tamanna ala Allah. That the intelligent one, he's the one who lowers his nafs, subdues his nafs. وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ, he works for life after death, or that which comes after death. وَالْعَاجِز, the opposite. The ajiz, like the EJ, so you could make a link there, linguistic, is the one who أَتْبَعَ نَفْسَهُ هَوَاهَا, he follows those desires of his nafs, sinning, etc. وَتَمَنَّى عَلَى اللَّهِ, and he has tamanni in Allah. So you would think tamanna ala Allah, or having hope in Allah, is a good thing, but this is referring to false hope, where a person doesn't pray and then says, well, Allah is Rahman Rahim anyway. Or he doesn't pray and he says, well, the shafa of Prophet is for Ahlul Kabair.
That's another hadith, isn't it?
This is false hope, isn't it?
In Imam Nawawi's Arba'in, I think it's hadith number 4, in which I don't know the Arabic wording. I did it in a daras once, but the hadith says that a person makes dua to Allah Ta'ala, and he's always making dua to Allah Ta'ala all the time. And then what happens? He's making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't accept his dua.
Yeah, his
Why?
food is haram. His
Why? Because he's wearing haram, he's eating haram.
وَغُذِّيَ بِالْحَرَامِ.
Yeah, he's going towards haram. And
يُسْتَجَابُ.
you see in our culture, in the people that we sit with, that they'll be earning haram, but they'll do a milad sharif. They'll earning haram, but they'll do an iftari, and they'll say, subhanallah, hands up, okay, I've done my bit, end of story.
What they don't realize is that innal muhibba lil habibi muti', that love for Prophet ﷺ, following him, is obedience. Fattabi'uni. Have to have obedience. If you don't have that obedience, then you don't have this.
The hadith is like al-imanu bain al-khawfi wal-rija'. That's the thing. What people need to know is that some individuals will go to hell, regardless of the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ being afterwards. Yes, they will go to hell. That is going to happen. And as Umar said that out of every 99, one person will go to Jannah. Okay, and I fear I might be one of those 99, and I hope that might be one of them.
Even when you look in the Quran, Allah, اعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب. Allah says know that He is severe in His punishment.
Inna ba'sa rabbika lashadid.
And this thing that you're talking about, this false hope that I'm going to do whatever, the kuffar of Quraysh and the Ahl Kitab used to say that at the time of Nabi. They used to say, لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودًا. Fire is only going to touch us for a few days, then we'll go to Jannah. Allah says, وَغَرَّهُمْ. They're deluded by this. They've been deluded by this. So there is a sense of waking up, is I guess what you're alluding to. We need to wake up that yes, we have the shafaat of Prophet ﷺ and we hope for it. And we don't doubt in it. And we don't doubt in Allah's rahmah. The same Rahman is telling us that there is a punishment. And you will have to pay for the crimes you've committed. So I think we need a sense of soberism, isn't it? You can't get too drunk.
Be in the middle, like have hope, but have faith. Now, like yes, the hadith that Hafiz mentioned that the person going to hell, if he would know that after a million years, hadith is actually that if according to the sand, the particles of sand on the earth, after that many years, a person would be told if he's going to hell or Jahannam or Jannah, he'll be happy or sad. This is the wording of the hadith. But my question is, why would you even want to go in hell in the first place? Like hadith say, the person who even smells the fire of hell, his body and his bones will melt. Okay, so does a person want even go down that route? Okay,
there's a munajat that's attributed to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. Just one portion of that came to mind where he's making this dua that's attributed to him, and he says to Allah that, oh Allah, if I was to be in the hellfire, then make the hellfire cold and peaceful the way you did it for Khalilullah. Meaning even in the fires of Jahannam or in Nar Jahannam, who said Allah's rahmah can't extend into there? Who said it can't? Allah's rahmah.
But there's one more thing. People think that hell is just fire.
Oh, there's cold parts of
There's cold azab as well. People need to know that as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got every type of azab in there.
There's
cold as well.
Smashing you to pieces, your body's being burnt to bits.
So,
Rabbi Salim.
But the hadith that we described in itself, the first one that you touched on, that obviously there will be ummatis in the fire that the Prophet ﷺ will take out. There's obviously going to be someone there to take out, isn't it? And we also have like that the famous hadith in the Muslim, the Imam Ahmad, the last person that will enter paradise. That beautiful story where he'll call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that please, I'm burning the depth of Jahannam, take me to the top. And that's my and just this one request of mine. Okay, fine. Goes to the top. Then say, Ya Rab, one more request. What's the request? I know I'm at the top, but can I just like sit near the door of Jahannam? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, fine, but no more. That's fine. After a while, he'll, Ya Rab, one request. What's the request now? I'm like this side of the door. Can I like sit on the other side of the door? He's pushing it now, isn't he? Okay, fine, go for it. Now he sits outside the door of Jahannam. Ya Rab, one more request. What's the request? See that tree all the way there? Like, it's still feeling quite a bit of heat from below here. So, can I like sit under that shade of that tree? Okay, fine, fair enough, go. So he'll walk all his way, sit under that tree. And now he'll be like, Ya Rab, I can see another tree all the way there. Can I go and sit under that one as well? Well, that looks bigger, a lot more cool. Okay, fine, go. Then he says, one more request. Okay, no more after this one, yeah? Okay, fine, last one. Okay, here we go. There's that one tree. It's near the door of paradise. I'm not like pushing it like to get into paradise. Can I just like sit near that one so I can see the people of paradise and smell the fragrances of paradise? Hadith say you can smell paradise from 500 years. Yeah? So if a horse was running, an Arab horse was to run for 500 years, the distance it covers, that's where you can smell paradise from. So this tree is just about there.
Can I add that you know this 500 years, the horse?
Yeah.
I would interpret it. This is my interpretation. I could be wrong. Everyone can criticize me. I think if you were to put it in this day and age that we're in now, it should be a Ferrari car.
A Ferrari car?
Yeah, because the Ferrari logo is a horse as well.
MashaAllah.
Right?
500 brake horsepower.
Chaos at its finest there.
Yeah, and this is my chaos. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But Yeah.
We can't limit
So
Allah's
got a
mercy
Ferrari driving for 500
for 500 years.
500 years.
Or maybe a
Continuously.
Mustang. A Mustang car.
Yeah,
Mustang.
Both of them.
runs for 500 years. Okay.
Or a Ferrari.
So he asks, then what happens?
So then he's now sat, now he asks, "Yeah, can I just sit under that one so I can see paradise and have a bit of that fragrance in it?" Okay, Abdi, go for it. So he goes sits under that tree. Now he can smell fragrances and he can see the people paradise. Yeah, can I like get a better view of paradise? Like I want to just like sit outside the gate. I'm not gonna go inside. Yeah, believe me, I'm not gonna go in, but just at the gate so I can have a better view. Okay, go. So he goes and now sits at the door of paradise, and he's seeing everything. He's like, "Rah, this is sick." Yeah,
Allah.
Quran describes, Jannah, paradise is actually so beautiful. I was mentioned the other day when we were talking Surah Araf in after Tarawih that Allah Rabbul Alamin has made paradise so beautiful. Hadith says you can't even comprehend the beauty.
ما لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا
Yeah.
خطر ببال أحد.
Huzur Ghosbag
You've not even imagined.
Huzur Ghosbag in his Ghunyan al-Talibin, he's written that the adabat and the favors of Allah Ta'ala in Jannah, whatever is mentioned in Quran or Hadith, are those that which we can understand, which the human brain can comprehend.
Yes.
There are those azabat and those favors which the human cannot even comprehend, and they are there.
They're not mentioned.
They're not mentioned.
Subhanallah.
I think the best description of Jannah I found in the Quran is in Surah Furqan.
Okay.
لهم فيها ما يشاءون.
Yeah. Subhanallah.
Khalidin. Whatever you want is there.
Yeah.
Wherever you want.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I
Subhanallah.
mean, your residence.
And then the next thing which we is the human brain can't comprehend, isn't there? Khalidina fiha. The human brain
Another
can't
element of
comprehend
it,
that.
yeah.
They can't understand that. How can you be
Forever.
always there?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
For eternity, yeah?
What was it?
Forever and
So
ever.
what happens? So he's asked now. He's at the gate.
Oh,
He
yeah.
can
So
see it. He can smell it.
He's peeping inside. He can see everything. He can see all the palaces. And the description given in the hadith is like,
You can see
the palaces of paradise, the bricks are made of gold. The mortar between the bricks are made of silver.
Subhanallah.
Hadith describes that the doors of these palaces are made of emerald and rubies. Yeah? Under each castle you'll have 3 fountains, 3 rivers.
Subhanallah.
Yeah? A river of milk, a river of water, a river of honey. And you can leap down and take as much as you want. I mean, another hadith I remember coming across somewhere that from Bukhari Sharif that one day you'll get up and you'll be on this mission that I want to visit all the land that Allah has given me. And hadith says that he'll get up and he'll start visiting. He's basically on a tour, isn't he?
Yeah.
Of the land he's been given by
His
Allah.
own real estate.
Yeah, his estate given by his Rabb.
Sports day.
Yeah,
And then
he'll go out to on this tour, and the hadith describes if he was to continue touring forever and ever, whichever we don't really understand that,
Whatever means.
but he will never be able to cover his entire estate that Allah's given him.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So he sees all of this, and he's at the gate. So Ya Rab, I'm so close. You've taken me out from the fire, then out of the door, into the first tree, second tree, now right at the gate of paradise. I mean, what does it take from your mercy? Just can I not?
So-
I'm on this side of the door. Like, can I get to the, the
Inside.
other side of the door? Okay, you come this far. Okay, go for it then. So he steps into paradise. And now when he gets into paradise, he legs it. He does a runner. So he stopped. Oh, where are you going? We just sat inside the door and you do a runner.
Not all the way.
He's on his way. Well, Ya Rab, we heard from your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that when a person enters into paradise, he will never leave.
Subhanallah.
Once you've entered the gates of paradise, there is no exit.
Sure.
Once you're in, you're in. And now he says, Ya Rab, I'm in. I'm not going out now. And what does it take from your mercy? And the hadith says that then Allah Rabbul Alameen will allow him, okay, stay in paradise.
Subhanallah.
So, point being, he started somewhere, didn't he? That was from the fire of Jahannam. And he will be the last person to come out of the fire and the last one to enter into paradise. And then, وَلَا سَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى will be seen to the
Allah.
nations.
Complete.
There's a hadith I think in Ibn Hisham, Sirat Ibn Hisham, is narrated that He alayhi salatu wasalam, Khalid bin Walid, okay, he conquered a castle and he bought the cloak of the king to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was very expensive and very beautiful and very shiny. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu ta'ala, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, this is so beautiful. The Sahaba were looking at it amazed with the eyes open, like, wow, this is great.
It was made of silk.
Sick.
It was a rare silk.
Yeah, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why are you amazed? He alayhi salatu wasalam said that the handkerchief of Jannah is more beautiful than this. The handkerchief which we clean our nose with. So, subhanallah. But it still comes down, can we still have full hope for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah and forget the adhab?
I mean, I think our concern should be that we don't want to experience questioning, never mind adhab. Let's try avoiding any of that whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, even the questioning of Yawm al-Qiyamah, there will be people who are saying, oh Allah, put me in Jahannam already, I can't take the questioning on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That's how severe it is. Entire surah is dedicated to Yawm al-Qiyamah.
Yeah.
So
the hadith in Ghaliban, I read that Abdullah bin Abbas saw Farooq Azam in his dream that after he died, his hisab, and Ghaliban, it was after 8 years of his demise. So Abdullah bin Abbas saw Farooq Azam in his dream. I think they had
They made a promise to each other.
If I die first, you're going to come in my dream and tell me what the hisab was. If you die first, you're going to tell me in my dream what the hisab was. As Abdullah bin Abbas, after 8 years of Farooq Azam's death, he saw him in his dream and he said that, and he was sweating, and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has just finished the hisab now.
Wow.
After 8 years of questioning.
Wow.
This is Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar bin Khattab.
Mubashshar bil Jannah, he's been given the glad tidings of Jannah.
Then there's another hadith that Abdul Rahman bin Auf radhiyallahu ta'ala, who was the richest Sahabi, the most richest Sahabi ever, more than Osman Ghani radhiyallahu ta'ala. The Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was to sit after Fajr namaz and ask who has seen a good dream. It's the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is where it comes that if someone wants to say a good dream, you can. It's the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hadith says that one day he started himself, that I saw a dream today, and he said, "Oh Abdul Rahman bin Auf, I saw you in my dream." And the dream was that it is the day of Qiyamah, and it's nafsi, everyone's running in their own direction, and I see you coming, and you are sweating so much, and I ask, what's wrong with you? And you say to me that, Ya Rasulullah, I earned a lot of money, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me for every single dirham. So, like you said, the questioning is very severe.
I just want to touch on one thing. I was reading in the Sirat of Sayyidina Umar. He had a special relationship with Sayyidina Abdullah bin Abbas.
Yeah.
He was a youngster at that time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he used to make him teach. And people used to question him, why do you sit with this young child?
Yeah.
And he used to say, well, he's the most learned in Quran.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big dars there for us as Muslim.
Yeah. He's got a name as well.
Tarjuman al-Quran. Abdullah bin Abbas.
Yeah.
Hibr
Ummah.
Yes, that's it.
One thing I want to see is nowadays people don't understand the severity of Jahannam and the beauty of Jannah. And it's also in Hadith, it's written everywhere that when they enter Jahannam, they're going to be like, Allah, please let me out. But then in Surah Mulk, it says in the Quran that did there not come a warner? And did someone not warn you that this is the punishment of Jahannam? This is the beauty of Jannah. And this is one of the big issues nowadays that needs to be alerted to others.
False hope, isn't it? That's what we're talking about, false hope.
You know, these Christians, some of these Christians, they question us that you say that there is hope, Shafa'at the Prophet ﷺ, and they say we say the exact same thing for Isa alayhi salam, that he went on the cross.
The difference is we don't say that Shafa'at that's to come on Qiyamah gives us an excuse to be disobedient on this earth here.
Yeah.
It's rather if you want to earn it. Whereas they say accept Christ as yourself, as your savior, you're already saved. There's almost like there's no more accountability after that. Whereas with us there's always accountability, and we should be concerned of the accountability of Rasulullah for us. Like we have to answer to him as well. We want him to be happy for us. Imagine waking up on Qiyamah and he doesn't recognize you to be from his ummah. Isn't that the biggest loss there is?
There's the hadith that the people will come to Kawthar for water, and the Farishte, the angels will say that leave this person, he did bid'ah.
So we need that sense of soberism, isn't it?
We got a question from the audience.
We've got a question.
Ji, Mahmoud, we have a question from the audience.
You just mentioned about dreams. So my question is there true? Because I've heard that if you sleep on your right, you get good dreams, and if you sleep on your tummy, you get bad dreams.
Alright, so the question being that if you sleep on your right hand side, you get good dreams, and if you sleep on your face, on your stomach, you get bad dreams. Is that true?
I've not researched anything or come across it, but what I could say is sleeping on the right side is from the Sunnah. So the more you can adhere to the Sunnah, the more opportunity you have to experience things like that. You know, that's Nisbah. Sleeping.
I mean, in terms of the Sunnah, we know that you sleep with wudu. My personal experience for several years now is that if you recite Ayatul Kursi before going to sleep, it's impossible, I've never experienced it, that you have a bad dream. Because reciting Ayatul Kursi does what? Allah Rabbul Alamin appoints an angel who then defends you.
Subhanallah.
What are bad dreams? Bad dreams are when shaitan makes his way in and he disturbs your mind and he shows you those visions, that which you don't want to see. But when you have an angel protecting you whilst you're asleep, there's no way shaitan can get in. That's my iman, at least, and from my own experience. Go on, second question. Go on.
If you sleep on your tummy, shaitan sits on you.
If you sleep on your stomach, shaitan sits upon you. Yeah, so,
I don't know. I've never.
I have
Well,
read
that's
somewhere, come across somewhere in my read, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw a Sahabi sleeping on his face, on his stomach,
And this is the
and Nabi
people of
sallallahu
Jahannam.
alaihi wasallam woke him up and said not to sleep like that.
Yeah.
But exactly why, I'm not recalling. But what you
Well,
said, where shaitan sat upon you, had.
Our
why would
Rasool
shaitan
do
sit on
stop
you?
people from sleeping on their stomach. It's not a good habit to do. I know the teenagers like to do it, sleeping on their stomach. For some reason, they think they have a nice sleep. I don't know, but it's not the Sunnah way. Sayyidi Ala Hazrat, he would sleep by making the name Muhammad of his body.
Subhanallah.
Yeah. So he would sleep on his right side, put his hand on his ear, and make this as a ha. Meme his face is a ha. His body as another meme, and his legs as dal.
Dal.
So Muhammad. So he would make that when sleeping. So
Also, sleeping on the right side, it alleviates pressure from your heart as well. If you sleep on your left side, you're putting a lot of pressure onto your heart as well there.
yeah.
So, you know, sleeping on the right side is so much, but this hikmah, the sunnah is hikmah.
If you are sleeping on the floor, you wouldn't want to sleep on your stomach on the floor.
Or
You
your
sleep
back.
on your back. You'll sleep on your back.
Yeah.
But if you're on a bed, because it's so comfortable, you now do want to sleep on the flat on your face is possible. But if you follow the sunnah method of sleeping, let's say somebody got a big stomach, how is he going to sleep on his face on
You
the floor?
can't.
It's not going to happen.
Isn't it also on the right side? There's cushioning here as well.
Yes.
So if you are on the floor, you're cushioned from feeling the hardness of the floor as well. So
Yeah.
loads of wisdoms. The sunnah is wisdom, innit? It's hikmah.
Yeah, there's great wisdom in sleeping. People that experience back pains, the cure for that is to sleep on the floor. Tried, tested. I've told so many people, it works straight away.
Yeah, why is it
Bang
that
on.
in i'tikaf we enjoy our sleep so much? Because it's like the only time people are actually on the floor, isn't it? So yeah.
Actually, you had a question, Ahmad. Ahmad, question?
Yeah, I was just about to reiterate the scientific benefits to sleeping on with the Sunnah. Really, like Fahim said, the hikmah behind it. Your heart is on your left side, obviously you're going to congest your blood flow. Likewise, sleeping upside down. So,
Sleeping.
leave it like
Okay.
that.
He said sleeping upside down.
Okay.
On your face, that.
On your face.
I mean, even then, the sunnah is to use your hand as a cushion, isn't it?
That's the question.
Yeah. I teaching that you should sleep flat. I mentioned in one of my weekend seerah lessons as well. You know, we've become accustomed to like huge pillows. That's actually very bad for your back, for your neck, for your spine.
Yeah, I actually seen this diagram, this video where it showed when you do sleep like this, your spine actually becomes straight,
Yeah,
it
it
aligns itself.
It does.
Whereas when you have the pillow there, it sort of makes you crooked.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it
let's
can
say
affect
you're
you.
sleeping flat. That's the posture of the body. But when you're sleeping, let's suppose with the pillow, yeah, you're not like that. Your neck, your spine is basically it's in this motion, isn't it? That's not the natural position of the body at all.
You know,
That's not
headaches
what
and
your
stuff
posture
like
wants.
Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, look at it. We sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your 24 hours. Extend that over the years. Let's say somebody lives for 60 years.
I know someone who sleeps 12 hours a day.
Yes, salam.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, generally now for normal humans,
The
for humans,
Mashaykh of Azhar, they tell you that the minimum sleep you should have is 4 and the max is 8. After 8, you'll start forgetting the ayats of the Quran.
I
That's
mean,
what
the
they say.
Sufiyah describe that you shouldn't sleep more than 4 hours. Take a break, get up. This is why you have this element of tahajjud,
Tahajjud, yes.
or even Fajr Salah. Get a few hours before Fajr, have a break. It helps the body recover.
Yeah.
And then you go back to sleep.
Yeah.
What I want to say here is that, we see our youngsters, especially youngsters, they suffer with something called migraine.
Okay.
Migraine, yep. And one of the reasons is because of not having enough sleep. I suffer from migraines, as I've had it since I was in year 8. And lately I had it a lot, but then I've recovered, come out of the migraine.
Okay.
And one of the reasons was sleep. If you have a fixed sleep, that you're going to sleep at this time and you're going to wake up at this time, your migraine will decrease. You won't have a problem.
You'll have more control.
You'll have more control over your migraine. And it's actually the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, Hadith in Mishkat, that the two Sahaba came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said, Ya Rasulullah, we want to do some tijara. And he ﷺ said, come in the morning at Fajr, but sleep early and come at Fajr. Those Sahaba came at Fajr and he ﷺ sent them out. They would every day go to work at straight after Fajr, and the Sahaba say that we had a lot of barakah in our mal. So
I mean, the hadith also describes that barakah for my ummah has been put in Fajr time.
There's also a hadith as well of about the Isha time.
Yeah.
Not to
Go out.
No,
Not
after it, not
late.
to talk after it. Meaning to go to the bed and to retire straight away.
Yeah. So straight after Isha you should go to sleep. But that's possible, in
But that's in the Arab lands, definitely.
Yeah.
That is the
because
trend.
you have a balanced. I mean, times aren't
But
changing so rapidly.
Hadith does say Isha and Isha. It's two
Isha.
different. And Isha. Isha is to eat at Isha, and Isha is Salatul Isha. Okay. And you go on. Question.
You're not talking about sleeping, so no more. How do you wake up early for Fajr?
How do you wake up early for Fajr? You sleep on time as well.
Yeah.
There is no other solution. Believe me, there is no other solution in the world. You sleep on time, you'll wake up for Fajr as well. When you're gonna go to sleep at ridiculous daft hours, at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
and you're gonna expect to wake up at 5.
Not happening.
I mean, who are you trying to fool here?
Like
Other than yourself.
I'll give you my example. Like, I had my migraine and I control my sleep. Okay, I would sleep at dot 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, I'm in the bed, khatam, finished. Okay, I put my alarm on for Fajr, but I would wake up 5 minutes before the alarm would go off. And I experienced that for at least 3 weeks. And my father says that his father, our granddad, used to say that you don't actually need an alarm for Fajr Salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put alarm inside here.
Subhanallah.
Your alarm is inside your heart. If you have that on, which is you have the niyyah to wake up for Fajr, you will wake up.
Subhanallah. Also, there are many things you can recite, but the best thing you can do for you lot is at this age get into the habit.
Yeah.
Getting into the habit of praying Fajr at a later age is almost impossible for people. So if you can embed that into your routine now,
Yeah.
you will never struggle with it ever again.
I mean, ulama have described. I mean, like practically speaking, yeah. So this is for the youngsters that are sat here. Ulama have also described that don't go to the bathroom before going to sleep.
Oh, you'll wake up for sure now.
Yeah, don't go to the bathroom before going to sleep. Yeah. So what does that do? Once you've been sleeping for, let's say, 4 or 5 hours, now your bladder is filling up. Automatically, now if you had slept on time, your body will wake you up for Fajr Salah because your bladder's full. Now you need a toilet.
Isn't it 4
So
hours
you'll
as
be
well?
right.
Yeah,
Some people can't sleep.
Isn't it
If
4
they-
hours
4 or
from when
5
you drink till when it reaches your bladder as well?
Yeah.
It's 4 hours as
But
well,
from-
so there you go.
Yes.
So drink some water before you sleep, you'll wake up for Fajr.
Make sure you have some
There you
water
go.
before going to sleep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you'll wake up. You will wake up.
There you
So
go.
body is designed to sleep for 4 hours twice anyway.
Yeah.
Science says.
Yeah, so
And
scientifically
even
proven, like Ahmad was saying, that rape is-
Psychologically speaking, when a person does what Ustadi was saying, that you sleep 4 hours, you wake up, you do tahajjud or you pray the Fajr. You know, when you start your day after your next sleep at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock for school, whatever it is, you're already 10 steps ahead of anyone. You've achieved something in your day, whereas other people have just slept the night away. So you start on a really high of productivity.
Yeah.
I've already done things. I've already, I've prayed, and maybe I've done your homework or you've done whatever it is. You
Yeah.
start at the height of productivity.
Yeah.
And you experience it in the month of Ramadan.
Definitely.
Those that don't perform their Fajr Salah, look at the barakah they have in Ramadan. One of the reasons because you're performing your Fajr Salah.
Yeah.
And the hadith describes when you wake up in the morning, you either wake up bearing the flag of the shaitan
Yeah.
or the flag of Rahman.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but all of Allah's creation sees you with the flag that you're bearing in the morning.
Inna Quran al-Fajr kana mashhuda. It's a witness time. The angels are watching at this time. They're witnessing at this time. Kana mashhuda.
It's just blessed time.
For these huffaz here, that to make your hifz more strong, the ulama say the best time for revision is after Fajr Salah. And I experienced that myself before Ramzan, preparing for Ramzan. If I was, for example, learning a manzil of, let's say, 13 spara, and I was to learn half a spara, I could learn half spara in 1 hour flat perfectly. But if I was after Fajr Salah, after Zohr Salah, for example, I wanted to learn half spara, it'll take me the whole day.
I'll actually testify to this. So
Yeah.
I've been set a challenge that this year my door is done without my eyes. So I've been listening to Quran only. Because my photographic part is pretty strong. But sometimes you open your eyes in Tarawih or whatever, you lose this. So you need your tongue or your ears to be fluent. So the way I do my door is literally after Fajr, I just listen to it. Best thing to do, listen to the Fajr, to the Quran, or read it yourself at Fajr time. You won't forget it. Then I repeat it at Asr time to some of the Hufaz here with me, and you're somewhat fluent. So do it at Fajr and do it before you sleep. You won't forget it. Impossible.
I mean, as Hufaz, students ask, like, give us a technique so we can memorize our sabak on a daily routine. And one of the methods I came across was, whatever sabak you've got, let's say you need to revise one page that you're going to read for the following day to your teacher. First, memorize some portion of it, or at least have something there in your mind, and then play it on your phone before going to bed. Either put it on repeat, for example, and go to sleep. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll know it as so strong, because throughout the entire night it's been ringing in your ears.
There's even more
And
to
you
that.
wake up to it.
The ulama of Azhar, Sheikh Ashraf, our teacher, Hafidhahullah, he mentions his teacher wrote a book called Al-Bayan fi Kayfiyati Qira'at al-Quran. If you want to memorize Quran in a way that you're never going to forget it, you do 5 ayahs at a time. You learn 5 ayahs, you learn another 5 ayahs, you stand in 2 rakat. You pray those in those 2 rakat. You will never forget it. You know, when you read it to your ustaji, that's one pressure in it. Imagine reading it to Allah studying namaz. That's another test of hifz, isn't it? And other advices that personally benefited me was in hifz class. We had a teacher who never used to let us put the Quran on the bench. He used to make us, and you lot see me when I read books, when I revise in it, the books in my face like this, how I revise books. Why? Because he used to say to me, if you can't hold in your hand, how are you going to hold in your heart? And if you don't put it up close like this, like right now, if this was a mushaf of Quran, there's so much within my vision that's distracting the capacity of my brain. I can only probably give 5% because it's only 5% of my vision right now. It's inhabited 5% of my sight currently. So if you want to have the photographic memory of Quran, you need to get really up close and personal, that you can see nothing other than the Quran. And that's why in masajid, especially those that have his class, you shouldn't do it in the main masjid where they have the fancy carpets. It's a big distraction. It's something that our ustad was very strict on. You should go to a place that's totally bare, with a blank wall in front of you, no pictures, no nothing, and Quran is the only fancy thing to see, so to speak, the only intricate design. Your attention, your subconscious attention, will be 100% on that. And nowadays, what is it? We're doing hifz. There's so much to see around us. Some of the mosques are so grand, without mentioning any specific mosque. People are talking, people are doing 1,000,001 things, phones are on our sides, pens and stuff, and then you wonder why I can't retain the Quran. What you have to remember is this Quran wants to run away, by the way. Hadith mentions this Quran is so eager to run away, is more than a camel runs away the moment you let go of its reins. So you need to, if you want to memorize Quran, go to those who have memorized it. Stop trying things on your own. And there's a specific student of mine who can testify to this if he watches it. He tried things on his own, it never works. Never works. He spent 24 hours to memorize a verse sometimes, he's told me. And now when you stick to what your teacher says, you will never go wrong. This is what's called the tried and tested way. The muwatta. The muwatta. The tried and tested.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Oh, go on, Ahmad. A final question, because I think we're coming to about an hour now. Go on.
Yeah, I've got a genuine question for those out there, you know, with the traditional backgrounds, and I'm sure you could possibly relate to this, being family orientated. For instance, last winter I had a routine of sleeping around 8-9 p.m. when it was Isha, and waking up 4 or 5 a.m. before Fajr Salah, praying Tahajjud and going about Fajr and going about your day from there. However, you know, your family's got aunties and uncles coming over at like 10 p.m. and you know you've got the late night gatherings. What could you possibly say to your family to keep it down or something?
Just don't disturb you.
So his question, just to repeat it for the camera, he's asked that he used to have a routine where he would sleep. Is this in the winter time, you said?
Yeah.
He'd sleep straight after Isha at 8 p.m, 9 p.m, and he'd wake up 4 a.m. before Fajr. But sometimes you got guests around who will occupy the house till late hours or early morning. What can we say to them to give us that sort of quietness in a respectful way? Is that what you're asking, yeah? How to keep it down, basically.
They wouldn't listen to you.
They wouldn't listen
They
to
won't
you.
listen. No, they won't. See, with a situation like that, you have to improvise.
Compromise.
Yeah, and those days will be where you will be disturbed. You know, like even somebody that does gym, he has a cheat day. He eats whatever he wants, or he wouldn't do his whatever routine he has.
Yeah.
He has a cheat day. Just consider that to be one of the cheat days, because part and parcel of being in a family house environment is you have to give them time as well.
Yeah, compromise for them.
Yeah. Part of Silatul Rahm,
Subhanallah.
having
Sorry to interrupt you. Can't you tell them like, you know, after Maghrib, like it's advised Shayateen come on after Fajr?
no.
No, you're
Look,
gonna get
Ahmad, when you're married,
battered.
you have your own house. Then you can run your house by your rules. Yeah. Then you can do what you want. Yeah. You can have printed out outside. Don't knock after 8 p.m. and nobody will knock on.
I think that's beautiful. You mentioned part of Silatul Rahim is compromising for one another, you know. So for the sake of your family's happiness, you compromise for that one.
In order to keep those family ties strong. Now, if you started doing that, believe me, the backlash you'll get is you're an absolute retard. What's wrong with him? Why is he going to sleep so early? Is something wrong with him? Physically wrong, or why is he avoiding us? Then you can imagine how many fitnas then open doors. They probably think you've got a grudge against this family, that family member.
Yeah.
So keep up appearances is what we're saying. Come down, show your face.
Well, I want to say that if people can wake up early but sleep on time, the benefit is that you get to do so much more.
Yeah.
And people say, you know, how can I have a very good time management skill? And the answer to that is basically learn how to do so much, a lot before 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Simple. If you know how to do that before 9 a.m, get all of your things done, majority of the things done, I'm telling you, you learn so much more. And this is why in China, I learned this in uni. In China, why is China so successful? One of the reasons is they make people sleep during the day. Kailula. Yep. Over there in China, majority of the main businesses, there is a 10-hour shift, 4-hour working, 2 hours sleeping, then 4-hour work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why. That's one of the reasons. But you have to wake up
Copy and
early.
pasting the Sunnah. Yeah. Working Qailula.
Yeah.
Anything that's going to be around Sunnah is going to be success, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
One question I have is, you know, when you wake up for Fajr, people say your mind is clear, but you know, through the day you have other things to do as well. So let's say you're about to start some schoolwork or something else. How would you clear your mind before starting it? Because let's say you're having a busy day or something.
Clear your mind before doing what? I didn't get your question.
Before doing anything, really.
So you're waking up with a clear mind. And how you clear it again?
Like, you wake up with a clear mind, but you have the rest of the day ahead. So if you have a busy day, how would you clear your mind?
There's a principle in Usul al-Fiqh you can apply here. Al-ahammu muqaddamun ala al-muhimmi. What's more important, give that more preference. So what's more important in your day, work on that straight away. Get that out of the way.
Ulama have described, I gave one of my Jummah khutbahs at Central Mosque was 7 ways to become more productive and have more barakah in your time. And one of those elements was, look, prioritise those things that are most important. You know you've got that assignment to submit or whatever. Do it early in the morning so you've got an entire day free, stress free. You keep delaying it until it starts piling on. And that burden stops you from doing your basic day-to-day thing that you need to achieve.
Uni students will know.
Yeah.
Uni students know this more than anyone.
Uni students or even parents or whatever's going on, you know you've got something so important to do. Get that done first.
Yeah.
It may be the most painful, most stressful, most difficult one, but get it out of the way first.
Yeah.
If you keep delaying that one for like the late in the evening, you're gonna have a really bad day. It's constant in your mind. It's stopping you from doing your basic things that you would normally do for jokes. Even they become difficult as well.
Imam Nawawi in his Arba'in, he's quoted a hadith which is very good for this topic. Hadith says, leave that which does not concern you.
من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه.
So any of those things that you're talking about, having a clear mind or whatever, in the morning, do not wake up looking at a screen.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, to have a clear mind at Fajr.
Or do muraqabah after Fajr.
Yeah.
Clear mind.
Yeah.
No phone.
And leave what does not concern you. Don't open BBC website in the morning, right? Then and you look at the news and you look at Ronaldo. Okay.
No, Ronaldo is Imran Khan, isn't it?
Well, Ronaldo broke a phone.
Is this a non-political podcast or?
Okay, non-political over here. Keep it safe and sound. Okay, guys. Barakallah. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow with the new panel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.